for a president to be
Is it
criticizing.
appropriate for people in your industry to try to create division and to try to create narratives anytime these things happen? Now, you're not as interested in doing that because Newsom is a D. If Newsom was a Republican, you guys would you would have him nailed to the wall for what they're doing over there. And I know we've dealt with it. We just assume in Florida, anytime something happens, it's going to be politicized by the media. So you guys sitting in judgment of Donald Trump, I mean, excuse me, I think your track record of politicizing these things is very, very bad.
Okay, last question.
Newsom should resign and that the wildfires are all his fault. So do you agree with those comments?
I remember when we had the Surfside Tower collapse, I had people from the Washington Post trying to blame me for it immediately without having any facts or anything. Oh, he didn't declare a state of emergency. First of all, state of emergency doesn't mean you can't respond. It's all that. Excuse me?
Biden did it. I think that's what you said.
Well, but what I'm telling you is you guys are trying to make an issue of it when I have watched from this seat. In fact, when I got elected governor, I was meeting with some of the other Republican governors, and what they would say is, hey, if you have a natural disaster, just know media's coming at you, they're going to do it. It's not the same. That mayor of L.A., if that were a Republican mayor, I could only imagine what that would do. I mean, you know the fires are at high risk, and you try to go to Africa or wherever she was to go on some type of voyage. You should have been there preparing and doing that, and yet I don't see a lot of heat being directed in that thing. And so, you know, I'd like to see some balance on how this is done. You could criticize the president-elect, but I think you also have to hold these other people accountable, and I have not seen that.
That's my governor, guys. As a native Floridian, I am very proud that Ron DeSantis called him out, because this is exactly what happened with the whole Milton thing. And they're like, oh, is Ron DeSantis responding appropriately to this hurricane? And he denied that climate change was an issue, right? Trying to undermine how he handled the crisis, how he managed the crisis. And you got liberals. This is the problem I have with liberals, right? It's one thing that you have a preference for what kind of leadership and governance that you prefer, but it's another where you just constantly just run defense. Ed Kazastein, you know, our favorite liberal, should Ron DeSantis resign too because hurricanes have ravaged Florida under his watch? Can you prevent hurricanes from being created? I think what? My young 28 years of life, all been here in Florida, in the great state of Florida, I think I'm very knowledgeable when it comes to hurricanes. I don't think you can prevent a hurricane from being created, but I think you can prevent a wildfire from ravaging and destroying your city. And this is the false equivalency that Democrats run to and try to make an attempt at. Here's Greg Foreman, Black Conservative Perspective, says, you have never heard of reports of Ron DeSantis mismanaging a hurricane because Republicans know how to govern. And this is really throwing a nail in this narrative that Democrats worked so hard in the mainstream media to propagate this idea that Republicans don't know how to govern. And part of the reason I think Ron DeSantis lit up the reporters is because of the fact that there's no scrutiny on exactly how Gavin Newsom is handling this stuff. Gavin Newsom could throw up his hand and say, oh, it's not my fault. It's the local government's fault. But here's an inconvenient truth for Mr. Gavin Newsom here, is that 10 are now found dead, 10,000 structures are burned in Los Angeles, and the inferno as a fire damage could exceed $150 billion. I just feel numb right now. Everyone knows they lost their homes. Catastrophe. And here's another inconvenient truth for Mr. Gavin Newsom, who wants to throw up his hands and say nothing is his fault. Since 2018, this is the worst wildfire in Californian history. And guess who was governor around that time? I believe Gavin Newsom. So Gavin Newsom, you oversee back-to-back both of the worst wildfires in California history. And you don't think you need any accountability of this? And this is one of the reasons, and I'm going to show you a clip of exactly what Ron DeSantis is talking about. This is more so mainstream media. I'm going to show you a clip of local media holding Karen Bass accountable. But mainstream media that covers national news like the CNN of the world, the NBCs of the world, the MSNBCs of the world, they constantly run cover for the Democrats. And I'm going to nickname them here today. This is going to be a nickname for the mainstream media. They're going to be called from now on the Democratic Defenders. The problem with these Democratic defenders is they don't want any kind of negative coverage on people that they seem to like, and that's with a D in their name. And if you see a lot of my videos, I highlight liberal bias in journalism, how majority of journalists are liberal, how journalism only has 3.2% of Republicans represented in its industry. So there's an inherent bias that the journalist wants to project Democrats in a positive light.
Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because
can't-
I don't believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the
Why
call.
is the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So I
Why?
have-
Well, what he just said in the beginning. Yo, you don't need any you don't need to go to journalism school when you know a dude trying to BS you. When a dude's just trying to get you out of his face. I'm literally on the phone with the president right now. Oh, can you put it on speaker? I literally tried to call 5 times. I literally have no service. Maybe he misspoke, right? But these are the kind of word games that the Democratic defenders will play when you catch their favorite politicians, usually Democrats, in a lie. Let's continue.
have to get cell service.
So
There's
let's
no
get
cell
it.
service.
Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids losing the school.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild. We're getting
Why
the
was there no
resources to do
water
it.
in the hydrants,
That's
Governor?
all being, that's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to
Right.
be.
He said that 2019 still happened near. Like, I think you get the point. But if a Republican was caught trying to do what Gavin Newsom is doing right here, Democrats can get away with murder. But I digress. I think you guys get the point. So let's check out this clip of how CNN attempts to bash Donald Trump because he's trying to politicize this.
I do think there's a split screen here, too, with Florida, to be honest. A lot of what we talk about it in terms of emergency management in this country almost always comes from hurricanes and weather. And you know, who is the recognized best emergency manager in the country? Ron DeSantis in Florida. So Newsom is also, he's under assault from Trump a little bit, but you know, he's also dealing with, I think, a comparative here. You know, what do other governors do? Is he as good? So when you talk about the future politics of it, is he as good at this as another governor might be? Could be a real problem for him because, you know, right now I think people have serious questions and there are no answers yet. He'll have a chance to answer them, but it doesn't look great right now.
Trump is blaming Biden for this on a presidential level. He's about to be president for another 4 years. There are going to be more natural disasters that occur on his watch. And so you're setting up this situation where is it the president's fault every time there's a fire because conditions are dry, or every time there's a hurricane? When he's president, he will say it's not his fault. But it just kind of sets that up, that expectation up that, oh, well, the president has something to do with this or could have prevented this, which is not necessarily the case.
So you saw the minute Scott Jennings bring up a comparative, hey, look, he's not doing stuff as comparable to other governors who are used to doing natural catastrophe management, right? And this wildfire, sure, it happens a lot in California, but when Trump was president in 2019, when the last wildfire happened in California, Donald Trump left them with a warning saying, hey, look, the stuff is too barren. You need to dampen this stuff up. There's ways that he could have prevented this. There was no water in the water hydrant. That was climate change too, right? What was the priorities of these people? They're cutting funding from the fire department. The fire department is short-staffed right now. These are the things that people are bringing criticism towards, the management of this stuff. Hey, you could have mitigated damages for this stuff. You could have saved lives with this stuff. But instead, they want to play politics. And this is the game they're trying to play politics. Oh, will this set up Donald Trump with anytime a natural disaster happens? You would have done it anyway, regardless if Donald Trump opened his mouth or not. And this is the hypocrisy from the Democratic defenders called CNN. 10,000 structures are damaged or burned to the ground. You got people taking advantage of the situation, looting these houses. when hurricanes happen here in Florida, Ron DeSantis put everyone on notice. Hey, we find you looting during the hurricane. You got serious consequences. Where's that from Gavin Newsom? This is the comparative that many people are pointing out about Gavin Newsom, about California Democrats. Let's read a little bit about it. Fire rages across Los Angeles, entering their 4th day, 4 days, killing at least 10 people, forcing the evacuation of 80,000 residents, and destroying more than 10,000 structures. Primarily estimated place damages economic loss to $150 billion. As of Friday morning, 5 fires are burning across LA County. The largest, the Palisades fire, has scorched 20,000 acres and is considered one of the most destructive fires in the history of Los Angeles, according to the LA fire chief on Thursday. Wrong way to make history, ladies. Wrong way. This is the LA fire chief. Meanwhile, the Elton fire has burned 14,000 acres. The newest fire are Kenneth and Hinnon Hills, which expanded in the overnight hours. You can't make this stuff up, bro. And you could have mitigated this or prevented this. But instead, you got liberals online trying to run a cover like the Kazakhstans, as you just saw earlier in the video, right? Trying to play deflection. Deflection ain't about Ron DeSantis. We're just making a comparative. We're just saying if Ron DeSantis was doing this, how would y'all look at it? Y'all want to see the aftermath of this? Because you want to see the aftermath of this? You look at this. Look at this. $150 billion. Where's it going to come from? I know we like to send money to Ukraine and all this stuff, but are Californians going to get it too? We're going to see what California now. The bastions of liberalism. They like to stand with Ukraine. Let's see when Biden send the $500 million to Ukraine. Let's see if any Californians are going to get mad about it. We got to be practical here. We have to be practical here. We have to be. This is the kind of expectation that we expect reporters. This is local reporters. This is why I say I don't have a problem with local news. I have a problem with CNN, these big conglomerate corporations that lives in these liberal bastions of New York and California. I have a problem with them covering the news because they always bring their bias into this crap and not asking the real questions that needs to be had. This is the kind of reporting that I believe majority of Americans expect our news media to confront the politicians, especially when many of the things and actions that they did exaggerated or amplified the problem of the wildfire that was being created today. Let's hear how Karen Bass handles this confrontation.
Please. Mayor, LA County is in a panic state. It began 2 days ago with the Palisades fire. My crew and I arrived shortly after it started, and for several hours we watched as hundreds of homes in a neighborhood burned to the ground. We did not see a single fire engine. We watched as Good Samaritans guided traffic. There was fear and there was a lot of confusion. You were out of the country at the time. Shortly after the fire started, a press release was put out warning of this fire behavior. My question to you is, what explains this lack of preparation and rapid response?
Let me just say, first and foremost, my number one focus, and I think the focus of all of...
No one cares about the platitudes. And this is what Gavin Newsom tried to do with the lady. I empathize with you, but people, okay, your empathy can only go so far. People lost damn near the entire asset. Most people's most valuable asset for the common American is usually their house. And they lost that. Hey, man, if this doesn't wake up California, if this doesn't wake up Los Angeles to move in a different direction when it comes to the political leadership, I don't think anything will. Right? Let's continue with the video.
Of us here with one voice is that we have to protect lives, we have to save lives, and we have to save homes. Rest assured that when rest assured, let me finish. Rest assured, when that is done, when we are safe, when lives have been saved and homes have been saved, we will absolutely do an evaluation to look at what worked, what didn't work, and to correct or to hold accountable any body, department, individual, etc. But my focus right now is on the lives and on the homes.
Do you think your leadership was effective while responding to this disaster?
I just said what I believe is the most important thing for us to do right now, and that is going to continue to be my focus. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go.
Hey, nailed to the cross, right? Nailed to the cross. Look at it, man. 5 fires, arsons, criminals being emboldened to steal from people's houses while the fire is going on after they evacuated. You had a homeless man with a fire torch causing more problems. Where's the law and order? Did climate change was responsible for that too? This is why it hits the nail on the head, right? On the East Coast, you have Florida. On the West Coast, you have California. 2 different perspectives, 2 different approaches to handling catastrophe, handling emergencies. Here in Florida, a hurricane go on, they know not to loot during hurricanes, and they still do it, of course. It's the people, but they get held accountable when they get caught. No one Ron DeSantis don't play these games. What's the response from Gavin Newsom about people taking advantage of the situation? I don't hear anything. Every time I hear someone trying to have a conversation about how exactly this could have been prevented, they switch up. Oh, climate change. The Democratic defenders, they switch it up. Try to blame something external. Oh, it's not their fault. Oh, we got to bash Trump because he's politicizing this. He's taking this as an opportunity to attack Gavin Newsom and Democrats. What about 2020 when COVID was going on? Y'all wasn't saying Democrats was taking advantage and politicizing the COVID response. We should be worrying about people's lives, but instead, Democrats are playing politics and trying to bash Donald Trump. What about Ron DeSantis when he opened up Florida 2 weeks after we were all gaslight to close down all our economies and all our lives in the house, cooped up in the house? What was the first thing? Y'all was politicizing the response to COVID. But all of a sudden, we're supposed to take you at your word? Now get out of here, bro. Y'all don't have enough trust. The American people don't have enough trust in the mainstream media to take their sorry excuse for deflection here. And I think this only hurts the credibility of the Democratic defenders, aka the legacy media, even further. But keep it up. Keep it up, because end of the day, people want real questions. People want real answers. How the hell you F up this bad, Karen Bass? You just won re-election. Oh, actually, you just won the election. And you went to Ghana while you were notified that this could have been a case, instead of preparing and prepping for this, instead of having, hey, look, here's our response, having a game plan, instead of doing all that, you're just like, oh, everything's going to be fine. It makes me think that the way that California is being run, it's heavily reliant on luck more than competency. But hey, that's not for me to judge. That's for the Californians to judge for themselves. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree with Ron DeSantis that the mainstream media are Democratic defenders, and that if Gavin Newsom was a Republican, if Karen Bass was a Republican, they'll be a lot more, how can I say it, critical of the actions that led up to the event of the wildfire? I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, but I think we all know the answer. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.